Like 99% of the people in this world want to be great. Would you agree with that? Yeah, they're called wannabes. 1% work to be great. Drop the mic on that.
It's, here it's Tennessee. So, we're going to get the best guys here. That's just every year. Every time we're out there, it's competition. Nobody has a spot. Nobody's comfortable. We're all working to get better.
Win with honor, win with class, win with pride, and win with modesty.
I came to Tennessee by choice, and I certainly did not make a mistake when I came to Tennessee.
It is no good. Tennessee beats Notre Dame 35.
It's a great state, made up of a wide variety of people, from east to the middle to the west.
Tennessee beats Alabama 35-28. Pandemonium reigns. The goalposts are history.
I've never regretted becoming a Tennessee volunteer. I look back and nothing will ever replace my early experiences from the first day I came onto campus, which I'll never forget.
I think that the future here, potential, is unlimited. I think it can be better or I wouldn't be here. I also not only believe in selling football, but I believe in selling the University of Tennessee.
Repeat our game nicely. Number 1. We make Tuesday win. Number 2. Play hard, make plays. One comes our way, score. 3. The first game break bullies, going up with almost team. 4. They got to get first and I keep that ball game. 5. Husky, ball, cover. Cut the sides on offense. Pursue and tackle on defense. This is the winning end. 6. First team can't get the breaks made. 7. Everybody keep it there for 6 minutes. Attack. Always attack.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber.
I'm Snake.
Tennessee escapes, boys. They escape. They get out of Pittsburgh with a W. That's the only thing that matters at the end of the day.
Right.
My goodness, right before we went live, we were kind of talking about it and almost laughing about it. There's so many storylines, so many narratives to this game, so much to get into. We're going to discuss it all right here tonight on Talkin VAWLS Live. Let me run down the chat, see who's hanging out with us. Right out of the gate, we got Big Ronnie in the house, says this was a gut check. Yeah, things didn't go our way. It was ugly. It was sloppy. But Tennessee got out of Pittsburgh with a W, and that's what counts. Crazy Nugs in the house. Statement game for the defense. UT Punkin is in the house. What's up, UT Punkin? Donovan is here. Guys, come on in. We got 450 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys choosing us to hang out for the post-game show. Do us a favor right out of the gate. Make sure you smash that thumbs up. If you would take 2 seconds and share out the link, we would appreciate it. Just hit that share button down below as well. Let me hit this super chat from Billy H. for $20. Thank you for the tip in the tip jar. Finally, Tennessee wins one of those games that they would normally lose. Let's start with that, Snake. Do you feel like this is a turning point? Because it's one of those games where it definitely felt like Tennessee was going to lose, battered Vol syndrome, but Tennessee finds a way to get it done. And I know a lot of things were ugly and sloppy, but they got the win.
I don't feel like this is a turning point for us. I think this will possibly, we got the win. So, shoot, I'm happy, right? So, but I feel like this was almost a
realization.
It's bad to say, but I feel like this was almost a step back. I mean, it was almost like we just went back to the same old thing that happens to us all the time. And I hate to say that when they pulled out the W, but we got a lot of work to do before next week. I don't know. What do you think, Dauber?
All right. I'm going to unload this right here first. Last year, the team overachieved, and a big reason was due to special teams. And to your point, Snake, regression. in special teams. 2 huge plays that cost this team tonight in special teams. The block punt and then the muff punt. You look at those, it's honestly, it's surprising that we were even in the game to be forcing overtime. But then again, you look at it on the other side of the coin, we should have been up 2 to 3 scores multiple times. So yeah, I said in the tailgate show that this game would be a point that answers a lot of questions, because face it, we left last week with a lot of questions. Ball State didn't prove a lot. I still think there are holes to fill and there are problems. The back end of the defense, you got guys that taking bad angles. Your linebackers still look like liabilities in pass coverage, and that's been a trend for the last 3 or 4 seasons, even going back to the different coaching staff. But yeah, a W is a W. It is one of those. We kept trying to find a way to give it away, and we didn't. So you can build on that because it is one of those. Maybe that gets you over the hump because good teams find ways to win. Maybe it is a bit of a reality check for where this team is, though. And I think that 8-4 mark that some of us have been saying, I think that is maybe a little bit more zeroed in and realistic than some of the people saying 10-2 and all that say.
Bottom line is, again, you come out with a win. Shout out to DevilDog65 for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate that support. Also, Buck Buchanan for 2. Thank you for the super chat, Pitts. That's why you were a 7-point underdog at home. I think the big thing for me is, like Dauber said there, Tennessee had every opportunity to put this game away, and they just kept shooting themselves in the foot time after time after time. And even you go back and look at the beginning of the game, it kind of started the exact opposite of last year. Just a horrible start. You come out, you go 3 and out. Tillman has a drop. Tillman was off tonight, and I know people are gonna read his stat line and tell me that, you know, how great he was because he had 9 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. Tillman was off tonight, and he had quite a few drops. He had the drop in the end zone that could have really gone a long way into putting this thing away. But again, you start off slow, 3 and out, you punt, Pitt comes down and scores. You get down 10-0 right out of the gate. And if I told you that this football team was going to get down 10-0 right out of the gate, and then they were only going to score 3 points in the second half, there's no way that you believe that this football team comes out of there with a win. And that's why I think, you know, again, as always in these post-game shows, we're going to be critical of the things that they need to work on, the things they need to improve on. We talked about getting after the quarterback last week. We saw this football team get after the quarterback tonight. They knocked Slovis out of the game. You had the backup limping around. That's what's almost embarrassing is you thought, hey, the backup's in there. He's limping around. I felt a little bit of confidence going into overtime because of that factor. But again, you just get out of there with a win and you celebrate it. John Hill for 10. Thank you for the super chat. Says, got to get better quickly. That's the takeaway. You got the W. You're 2-0. You got Akron coming up next week. Get better. Get ready for Florida. And maybe, just maybe, you can still come out of September at 4-0. And that's how you get, Dauber, to what you said earlier, back to 8-4, 9-3, possibly. RJ Carter for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Hendon did not look himself tonight. I agree with that. We'll talk about that.
I was going to say that when you said Tillman looked off tonight. Hooker looked off, especially early. You know, a couple overthrows. But I think the first 3 series, there were 2 drops and 2 overthrows. So that was huge.
But it was all night long. We'll come back to that. Stevie J for 30. That's a big-time super chat. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. Finally have the right coach in place. This is going to be a great season. Go Big Orange. We'll talk about that too, because when you scroll social media, and that's probably a stupid thing to do when Tennessee is playing, but there's some already, and it's why going into this game we talk about must win or not. A lot of people already turning on Josh Heupel. Dakota for 2. Thank you for super chat. We injured their entire team. Work to be done. Go Big Orange. Shout out to Sills6XD. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Carl for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Did our best to give it away. Punt, block, and punt return. Yeah, we're going to break it down. A lot of super chats coming in right out of the gate, so I want to hit these, and then we're going to talk about this football game. David Bills for 10. Our defense has been improving significantly under the staff. Banks was great in coverage. Excited for more growth and to see Brew continue to get comfortable. Physical defense. Thank you, David, for the super chat. Wesley Abrams for 5. We are a good offensive team. Had a bad day on offense. What's impressive is the defense. The offense can be fixed. I think we could go 6-0 to start the season. I want to come back to this. I'm going to hit a couple more super chats, and then I want to come back to all these people talking about the step that the defense took tonight. Trade Mark Outdoor Services for 2. Kick that guy off here. We beat a physical team. Snake, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired. You're done. It's over. Robert 45 Tennessee for $50. Man, you guys are being generous tonight. I promise we're gonna get into the show. I'm gonna read off your comments. Appreciate the super chats. Very generous. We appreciate it. Like Dauber said, that ain't cheap, but we got to play the clip.
Money isn't everything. It's the only thing. And everyone has a price for the $1 Million Man.
Robert 45 Tennessee for $50. That ain't cheap. It was close, and yes, I agree. They tried to give it away, but the D-line put pressure on like they should play for a half. They nearly put down 2 quarterbacks. We're going to come back. I promise we're going to come back and talk about this defense. Papa T and SC for 20. Thank you for the super chat. Defense stood up big. Offense left 30-plus points on the field. Special teams is suspect, yet we won on the road, so that is progress. Hook and Tillman got to play better. D-line was a beast. GBO. Thank you, Papa T, for the super chat. Guys, the super chat's going to continue to come in. I promise we will come back and get them. If you have a point to make and you want to drop a super chat, we're going to come back and hit it. But I want to put on a show and talk about this football game. Let's talk about this defense, Snake. Everybody in the chat talking about how good this defense did, and the defense won the game. And again, you look at the way this thing started. Tennessee only scored 3 points in the second half, and they still escape with a win. Their center got taken out of the game. Their quarterback got taken out of the game. Their running back missed the entire game. Was Tennessee's defense better, or was Pitt handcuffed because their starting quarterback went down at halftime?
No, I think we were better on defense than probably what we thought. I mean, at least I was. I thought the defensive the scheming was a lot better this week, and guys were flying around. I thought the defensive ends played well. I think we're still weak in the interior defensive line. Who knows? The secondary I thought did well. I don't know. That Pitt's a good team, like everybody's saying, and they're very physical. They can push us around. So no, I think the defense played well. I think they kept us for sure. They definitely kept us in the game, right? So we had too many mistakes, special teams especially, and then offense, like they're saying, they just kind of sputtered. They came out on fire in the second quarter, and then after that, it was almost like, come on, get going, guys.
Yeah, they came out of the locker room at the half and just couldn't get it rolling. I think one of the groups that we've not mentioned yet, I think offensive line. I think that they struggled a bit tonight. Hooker definitely did not leave with a clean jersey. He was hit quite a bit and didn't get the run game really rolling. I did like Jalen Haidt getting involved more offensively. That little quick pass when they're, in single coverage. I thought that was good. But, man, like we said, a lot of stuff to work on. Still can't cover a slant. That bit is, I think, at least 3 times.
Everybody knew that was coming too, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Part of it for me, and it's kind of a tale of two halves. I thought in the first half, a lot of people were talking about the quarterback pressures and getting the quarterback on the ground. A lot of that was coming from the linebackers again, and that's what we saw against Ball State. The pressure was coming when they brought the linebackers, and I felt like that's what the first half was. I feel like in the second half, the defensive line did a heck of a lot better job. BY was in the backfield. Tyler Barron was living in the backfield. Big O, I thought, played good at times on the inside. Who was it? Was it Big O that forced the fumble, or was it might have been Tyler Barron? I can't remember who forced the fumble. This had the sack fumble in the first half. But I feel like when you talk about the linebackers struggling in the passing game, and again, we're emotional. It's post game. We just watched it live. It's hard to really analyze it, but it seems to me that they've got to bring the linebackers, and when they do that, that's what opens up, that slant and everything that's happening over the middle of the field.
Yeah, that was evident tonight. That was going to be their game plan. They had to bring pressure from the second level, and that's just going to leave, a lot of pressure on that secondary, and we saw that at times. But overall, I mean, they did well to pull this game out, I think. And without the defense playing well, we were going to be in trouble tonight.
And even in that first half, when you talk about, Pitt kind of jumping out to a quick start, a lot of that was chunk plays, man. They had that tight end play down the sideline where he jumped over, I think it was Flowers. But that play all happened because Banks was way too shallow on his zone, like way too shallow on his zone. And then you had a 76-yard rushing touchdown also in the first half that kind of skewed the way the numbers looked.
McCullough took a horrible angle on that. He could have had a shot at him in the wide open field, and he was just rushing towards the line of scrimmage instead of trying to take him towards the sideline. And he just completely whiffed. So, that's my point with the secondary. A couple big plays in the pass game for them, but running, they did not help much in the run defense, especially that long run.
We got almost 800 people watching live right now for the post-game show. Appreciate you guys choosing us to hang out, talk a little Tennessee football. Do us a favor, smash that thumbs up. If you want to share it out, please help us. There's strength in numbers. If you guys hit share, put it on your social media, on your Facebook, your Twitter. It helps grow the chat. We would greatly appreciate it. Going to try to do things a little different tonight. I want to have some conversation going on, and then we'll take a break every 5-10 minutes or so, and then we'll go hit your guys' comments, your super chats, and see what you have to say. I think that will make the show flow a little bit better tonight. So let me go catch up on Super Chats real quick here. Let me go back. Where are we? Let's see. Papa T was the last one. So Tyler Skidmore for 5. Thank you for the Super Chat. Tyler says, love Hendon, but he is inaccurate this year. High and low passes. Wide receiver saved him last week and continuing this week. Yeah, we've not seen the regular. Hendon Hooker looks human, I saw somebody say on Twitter. Billy Napier for 2. I don't know how you're super chatting when you're currently taking on Kentucky right now, but thank you for the super chat. Billy says how much down in the rankings after the upsets today. What? How much? Oh, how much do we? A space would help there. How much do we jump in the rankings after the upsets today? Yeah, a couple of teams lost. I don't know. Maybe top 20. Pitt will drop out of the top 25, I would imagine. We'll see how it shakes out on Monday. Landon for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Tillman was off, Hooker off, and D surprised me. Again, I don't want to keep harping on it, but I go back to that defense, and I wonder how much of it is just Pitt being so beat up on offense. Nombre for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Can we give the defense credit too? They mitigated turnovers and kept us in it. They delivered in the second half and overtime. Yeah, and don't let me sit here and take credit away from the defense. They shut it down. This offense, which is all we've talked about since Josh Heupel took over, only scored 3 points in the second half. And this Tennessee defense, they stepped up. Even the fumbled punt, another opportunity for Tennessee to put it away. And the defense digs in again. Knoxville Predator catcher for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Hooker had some high balls, but wide receivers were playing hot potato. Really proud of our defense for stepping up. Don't disagree with that. Cannon Carter for 2. Should have thrown more deep balls in one-on-one. I don't know that I disagree with that either. I'll have to go back and watch the replay. J for VAWLS for 20. Doesn't say anything, just slams a $20 bill on the table. We appreciate it. Trademark Outdoor Services for 2. Defense finally saved our offense. Isn't that what we've been waiting for, though? David Bills for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Keep in mind, West Virginia game was physical for them. Hope we hold up better than Pitt does over the course of this SEC schedule. It's good that we got Akron coming up next. Give us a chance if anybody is beat up or banged up to get healthy. Knoxville Predator catcher for 5. He's talking trash to the Pitt fan in the chat. HTP, if Tennessee is a joke, then I guess Pitt is our punchline. Trademark Outdoor Services for 2. Tip drill all week. Yeah, a lot of tip balls that, man, were close to being interceptions that Tennessee just didn't didn't convert on. Let's talk about the running game. I thought going into this game, Dauber, I thought Tennessee was going to have a real opportunity to run the football. We saw West Virginia have some success running the football, but really they struggled. Jalen Wright, I felt, looked good, but then when he put the ball on the ground, seemed like they went back to Jabari Small, who only averaged 1.7 yards per attempt.
Yeah, just never really got going. Either guy, after the fumble, you want to be picking up, 3+ yards a carry, and just running downhill. And that when that is happening, this offense is clicking. Because I talked about it heading in pre-Ball State game. Everybody thinks tempo equates to throwing the ball all over the field and a pass-happy offense. When statistically you look, and it's about a 50-50 split run and pass. So they definitely like to run the ball to dial up the pass, and then conversely, throw it to set up that run as well. And when you're struggling to grind out yards, it's tough. I commented to one of my buddies during the first half. There was a whole lot more designed and called quarterback runs, and I said I don't know how much I like that. Just with the chance of getting Hooker hurt, I know it kind of spreads the field a little bit more and gives you another threat, but is that really a risk that's worth the gamble, to pop off a 20-25 yard run here or there versus getting him, 4 or 5 extra good shots during a game? I mean, it's one tackle like Slovis had, and you're sitting on the sideline and you can't help your team there.
Yeah, but I don't know. I know what you're saying, Dauber, but I also think you just got to run your offense, right? You got to call the plays you think you need to run at the right time. And I think their defense was pretty strong up front, and we couldn't run the ball, so they thought we could get an extra blocker in with that little quarterback draw play, I think, that they called several times. I think that's probably what it was. I was hoping that we'd be able to push them around a little bit. We just couldn't, I don't think. And the Pitt defense was pretty tough. And then on the other side of the ball, I think, honestly, going into that second quarter, I think Pitt could have just tried to run the ball a lot more and just game manage a little bit. And they might have had a chance, if they were successful at that, of putting this game away at that point. But luckily, we had a really good second quarter.
Yeah, I'm kind of a snake on it. You live and die with being able to run with Hendon Hooker, especially when you're having trouble running the football. And it seemed like they were struggling. Like I said, Jalen Wright, I think he's running hard, man. He's running hard, but if you put the ball on the ground, it doesn't matter how hard you run. You've got to protect the football if you're going to have a chance. You got out of here with a win, but you still, gosh, you shot yourself in the foot so many times. The fumbled punt.
Called that play dead. I thought they called that play dead.
I saw people on VolQuest talking about it and basically saying now if you blow the whistle that the play's not necessarily dead.
That's
when
what
you go to replay.
Said.
That makes no sense at all.
Said you have to carry it to the ground even if they blow the whistle. I've never heard that before.
How does that make any sense?
So then how is it a dead ball foul if somebody gets hit after the whistle?
Yeah, it makes no sense. No sense. So I've got to stop on the whistle. But if you fumble after the whistle, it's still a fumble. It makes absolutely no sense. No sense.
Yeah,
Let me get caught up. A lot more Super Chats coming in here. We'll every time we kind of have a lull and we stare at each other like 3 potatoes like we just did, I'll go hit Super Chats. And that's the way we can kind of stay on top of it. Here's a $2 tip from Josh Wilcox. Thank you for the Super Chat. Give some love to Chase McGrath. Absolutely. I went directly to Twitter when he nailed that 52-yarder and said, that's freaking clutch, man. To give yourself a 7-point lead and say what you will. Say what you will about the Pitt quarterback leading them down the field and going to get a score. That was huge. That was absolutely clutch. Evan counts for $20. That ain't cheap. Thank you for the Super Chat. Since this game was eerily similar to that Georgia Tech game a couple of years ago, not impressed at all. That SEC schedule is starting to look tough. O-line better clean it up. Love Josh Heupel not turning at – Love Josh Heupel not turning at all. Just hope we can clean it up. oh, he's not turning on Josh Heupel.
Yep.
Yeah, Evan, that's what it's all about, man. There's nothing wrong with criticism. Sometimes people get mad anytime you criticize something. Nothing wrong with criticism. It's not being a negavol. You can call a spade. Rod's Fireworks Megastore for $20. Nothing to say. Just drops a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that. Xavier for $5. What's up, Xavier? What up, Vol fam? I'm emotional, but we got the win. Never say never. Still got some work, but go Big Orange. Appreciate that, Xavier. David Bills for $5. Pitt knows this offense better than anyone, and their coach spoke highly of their prep, and they were super confident. Watch his presser. Baker Reynolds for $20. Nothing to say, just a $20 tip. Thank you for that, Baker. Wayne Starnes for $20. Great to see the defense show up. Hooker has to improve his accuracy. Offense got to get going. Still a great win against a good team. Go Vols. Evan counts with another $5. People are going to be upset with me, but why wouldn't we have a good D when you're playing a number 2 quarterback that's limping around and a number 2? That's what I said, Evan. I'm with you on that, man. And you know, it is what it is. But when you got a backup quarterback limping around, Pitt went very conservative. When they brought the backup in, very conservative.
But he still completed a lot of big chunk plays.
Yep.
And that's, you know.
I feel like they should have done that in the second quarter. If they would have done that in the second quarter, we might have struggled. So,
lot of the comments, a lot of the super chats coming in, a lot of people talking about Hendon Hooker has to be better. Larry Hildebrand, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate that, buddy. Hendon Hooker's got to be better, and we've just not seen the same guy that we saw last year. He's missing on some of the deep balls. He's missing on some of the easy throws. Tonight ends up 27 of 42, over 325 yards and 2 touchdowns, 27 yards on the ground. Somebody in the chat earlier, can't remember who it was, said something about him working on his angles and his release. Do you think we're seeing something off with Hendon Hooker's mechanics? They beat it into the ground last week in the Ball State game. And I don't know how accurate that was, but
too wide.
They spent a lot of time talking about it. Is there anything to take away? This is 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row that Hendon's not been as accurate as we've seen. And I'm not saying it's time to bench him. I'm just bringing up a question.
No idea. I have no idea. I can't look at his feet and say, oh, whoa, he's striding too far or not striding far enough. But, I mean, he was high on a few throws, and it's a little surprising to me. He was high on a lot of throws, I think. So
considering the way he played last year and how efficient he was. But listen, I mean, he's still taking care of the football. You look at the one who was it that stepped out of bounds on the one play that could have been a touchdown. You know, again, there was a play against Ball State. He's putting it to where his receiver has the opportunity to catch the ball, and that's what you want out of your quarterback. Don't force it. Protect the football, and give what the defense is going to, take what the defense is going to give you. And tonight, I think that, and like Snake said, with the quarterback runs, I think that, I think that was an opportunity that the staff felt we can take advantage of this, but I'm on the fence about it. I know it expands the game, but we also know what's behind Hooker. And although Milton looked pretty good last week, I don't know if I want to get in that boat yet.
I don't think anybody's ready to get in that boat yet. I really don't think anybody's ready to go down that road. It's just 2 weeks in now, you just start to question, all right, is something off with Hendon, or is it – I don't know.
No, we can't – I mean – I don't want to get into that game, though, do you? I mean, you don't want to start questioning him.
Oh, yeah.
He missed a few passes. We won the game. Let's move on and get better. Let's work like heck and hit the film rim.
Yeah, okay. Give me a clap, all right. Take your hat off, put it under your arm there, Phil. I thought Jalen Hyatt looked good today, I thought.
Go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I mean, I feel like they rode Tillman, but Brew made a couple of really big plays. So I'm looking for him to start getting the ball to Brew a little bit more. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think you got to take advantage of the mismatches you have with the size of our receivers, especially tonight. Pitt's secondary, they were giving up, 3 to 4 inches and 10 to 15 pounds against our wide receivers, and You saw that on a couple of the plays where they just kind of bodied them out of the way. I think you've got to match that physicality on the outside and exploit it. And you know, maybe it had to do a little bit with the pressure that Pitt started bringing, because it did seem that we didn't go downfield as much once they started getting in the backfield more. The big shots we took downfield were earlier in the game, so maybe it's just something they see on the field that dictated the play calling.
Yeah, I don't think
wonder
we
too
handled
if
the pressure too well either. So
I wonder how much of it is decision making by Hendon Hooker, because he's going to Tillman on those deep balls, those 50-50 balls. And I wonder how much of it is having the confidence in Tillman to go up and get it. You're seeing him hit Brew on some of the slants and stuff over the middle.
Right. And
Jalen Hyatt's,
he's not worked with Brew as much.
Right, not as much. And I wonder how much of that is just that confidence. And like you said, Dauber, Tillman just going up and bodying guys. That's what we saw in overtime. The deep ball there, it's like a box out play. It's like basketball. He just boxes him out, throw it up, chug it up, and let him go get it. How many times did they say they targeted Tillman? It was like 20-some times they targeted Cedric Tillman. And again, he ends up with 9 catches for 162. I was pleased with Jalen Hyatt. I felt like he played a good football game, led the team with 11 catches. But I'm with you guys. Steak, you said, I want to see Brew McCoy, man. I want to see more Brew McCoy because he looks good. His hands look good. He's physical. He looks the part. Let's get him more involved in the offense. Nate Pruitt, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate that. If you got anybody in the chat that's wondering, why are they talking about members of the channel? You can hit that join button right down below. It's right beside subscribe. It's as little as 99 cents a month. If you like what we do here, you like the videos, the live streams, anything that we bring to you guys, if you like it and want to support us, for as little as 99 cents a month, you can join the channel, or you can give up to as much as $10 a month. You also get access to custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. You see a lot of people dropping them in the chat right now. Put them in the chat, guys. Show them what they've won. But you also get access to fan call-in shows. But more than anything, you like what we do, and you're supporting this channel. Gives us an opportunity to bring you guys more content as we move forward. Let me get caught up on Super Chats again. You guys being very generous today. Want to make sure we hit these Super Chats as they come in. Take a break every now and then from the show to go back and catch them. Let's see here. What do we got? Caden Robinson for $2. Thank you for the Super Chat. Playing Bama 5-0. In hype we trust. We'll come back to that. Kenneth Gordon for $5. Thank you for the Super Chat. Nothing to say, just a little tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that, Kenneth. Jody Farrell for $5. Exciting game on a crazy day of college football. Yeah, when you look around the world of college football and you see teams like Texas A&M getting beat, you see other top. Who else got upset? I already forgot. Somebody else got upset tonight too. Two big teams got upset. And Tennessee escapes a road game where they were favored by 7. They get out of there with a W. I'll take it all day long. Dustin Sellers for 10. Great to be on the other side of another heart attack game. Lots to clean up, especially third down on both sides and special teams. Got to find someone more stable on punt return. Thanks, y'all, GBO. Appreciate that, Dustin. Noah Brantley for 5. Thank you for the Super Chat. Would you blame the offensive line for the Hooker? No, I don't blame the offensive line for Hooker's inaccuracies, because some of them he's got a crisp, clean pocket and just inaccurate with the football. Jeff Puckett for 10. Thank you, sir. You can tell how much football somebody knows just listening or reading. As much talk about Florida as Pitt this week. I don't know. Is that an insult? I'm not sure if we're being insulted there or not. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. I don't know why people would be talking about Florida. We've been talking about how important this Pittsburgh game was. Tennessee got the dub. Now we're going to go rest up, heal up against Akron and get ready for Florida. But thank you for the Super Chat. Jeff Tyler, Coggins for 5. Why does Hooker look at Tillman only? I think we addressed that just a second ago. I wonder if it's a comfort level. It is a comfort level. Nate Pruitt for 5. Thank you for the Super Chat. Finally join the channel. No matter what, at the end of the day, it's a win. On to the next one. It's great to be a Tennessee Vol. Thank you, Nate, for the Super Chat. We appreciate that. Going back to Caden Robinson, says we're going to play Alabama 5-0. That's all the hype, all the talk. You look at the schedule. Tennessee gets out of Ball State. They get out of Pittsburgh 2-0. You pull up the schedule, take a look at it as we move forward. You're going to play Akron coming up. That's a cupcake. Heal up, get ready. Snake, how do you feel about that Florida game and then also going on the road to play LSU? Do you think this football team can go into that Alabama game at 5-0?
Yeah,
I always go to you
Awful
first, so
question
you
to
get
ask me. You know
yeah,
that.
you get negative, and then they get mad at you, and they're like,
No,
"Man,
we're gonna
Boogie's
be undefeated going into Alabama. How about that?
undefeated going on the road to play Georgia in November, right?"
Yeah, I don't know. That's just a loaded question, man. I can't believe you asked me that. Florida went from what, nobody to 12th in the nation, right?
Yep.
So
They're trailing Kentucky 7-6 right
7-6.
now with 8.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter.
yeah, Florida's learning. I don't know. It feels like Florida's learning how to win with the team they have. But man, their lines are so much. They just look so much bigger and more athletic. We can play with them. It's going to be a dogfight. I'm not going to say we're definitely going to win or we're definitely going to lose, but that's going to be a great game right there.
I think that offensively, if we play like we are supposed to and can, we'll put up a ton of points on Florida. I don't know that we can stop Richardson. I think the way he looked last week, we struggle with a quarterback that can extend plays and beat you with his legs. And Richardson came in last year in the game and ran all over us, didn't he? Was it Richardson in the Florida game that had a big game on the ground?
I don't know. Would you put me on the spot? I can't remember.
You just did the same thing, Snake.
Yeah.
I didn't ask him to quote a game from a year ago.
I
asked him the hard-hitting questions.
It's definitely going to be a tough game against Florida. And then going down to LSU on the road, I mean, who knows? Who knows with what is going on in Baton Rouge right now? I tell you what, I wouldn't like to be in Brian Kelly's seat right now.
He deserves it.
Yeah. I think you talk about the fans turning on somebody. Shoot.
It didn't even take a week. It didn't even take a week of the season.
So part of it, part of me of how I look at this Florida game is going to be how good do you think Pitt really is, right? Do we really think Pitt is a top 15 team, or do we think Pitt is not as good as us at all, kind of thing? So if we really think Pitt's a top 15 team, then I've got a lot more confidence going into the Florida game. If we think, I don't know, I really haven't decided yet, I guess. So what do you think, Boogie? Do you think Pitt's really as good as what everyone says they were?
I think if Florida was going on the road to play Pitt next week, that I would be picking Florida to win by a couple of scores, which is the same that I picked Tennessee to beat them by.
Yeah.
But Tennessee went out and played sloppy tonight.
I think we're a much better team than Pitt, and we played one of the just another Music City Bowl game against them, and we came out with the win. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just nice to be on the winning side coming out of a game like that. But when I look ahead to Florida, I don't know how good they really are. And like Dauber said, I think we'll be able to score points on Florida, but can we stop Florida? But I said it about this Pitt game. I thought we would score all over them. I thought we would score all over them, and that their offense would not. And they've got a good front seven, but like Dauber said earlier, I just don't think their DBs are that good, and I don't think we exposed them enough. Who's got the echo? Who's got the echo? It's Snake. Why do you got an echo, Snake?
Oh, I don't hear it on my end. Sorry.
Let me catch up on Super Chats while I made it awkward for everybody. It's echoing like crazy. It's driving me nuts. You got your echo cancellation on. We got almost 700 people watching live. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here on the post-game show. Do us a favor, smash that thumbs up. We would appreciate it. Let me catch up on Super Chats here. Nate Pruitt was the last one. You guys being awesome tonight, man. Appreciate you guys donating to the channel, supporting what just three regular East Tennessee dudes do around here. If it's your first ever post-game show and you want to insult us and say we don't know what we're talking about, cool. We probably don't. We're just regular fans just like you guys, for the fans, by the fans. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Justin Stacy for 5, appreciate that. Hooker has to look off defenders. I agree. So kind of a narrative going there that he's staring down Cedric Tillman. Philip Scow for 5. Thank you for the super chat. Vols defense got after the quarterback in a big way. Brew looks great. I said it's great. to be a Tennessee Vol. We appreciate that, Philip. Marcus Rush for 10. Hooker was off tonight. You think the tweaking of his throwing motion has affected his accuracy? Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. I don't know, man. Something seems off, and it wasn't just tonight. You know, I could write off the Ball State game, but now we're seeing it 2 weeks in a row, kind of struggling with his accuracy. We'll see. He's got another week. We'll see what he looks like against Akron. If he struggles with accuracy against Akron, it's time to start to get concerned about it. Evan counts for 2. Got to stick with the thick and thin. We'll be good for sure. We'll all be right here talking about Tennessee football, win or lose. Robert Tuck for 2. Florida beats us. Maybe LSU 2. And you call us Negavols. Thank you, Robert, for the $2 to take the heat off of us. We appreciate it. Brian Roberts for 10. We had 400-plus yards, beat a number 17 team full of grit and toughness at their house. We have stuff to work on, but I'm going to be happy and enjoy being 2-0. GBO, that's a good attitude to take, Brian, and we're right there with you. I'm extremely happy to be coming out of this sloppy game with a W. Justin Stacy for 5. Can't complain about getting after the quarterback tonight. Nope, they got pressure. I think somebody said in the chat, I don't know if it's accurate or not, that it was the most quarterback hurries in the history of Tennessee football.
I think I saw a number thrown out there too. It's 26. So
is that the most of all time?
I don't know. That's what's the sack record? Isn't it like 8? 8 in the game?
I have no idea. G. Smith for 2. Didn't Pitt have one of the best defensive lines in the country? Yes, they do. They do have one of the best defensive lines. They also had a defensive end that was out. And I think that's probably, that's a big factor with Tennessee struggling to run the football, right? I mean, their front's pretty solid, pretty tough, pretty good. I can accept that and live with that. I'm just disappointed in the passing game. And again, we're nitpicking. 325 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hyatt, 11 catches. They did some good things tonight. Let's be a little bit more positive, Dauber. They got out with a win. We're moving on. 2-0. Moving on.
Absolutely. That's the thing, though. But this is what post game's about. It's real. It's raw, authentic emotion. I mean, we're coming out and we're looking at the negative side and talking about how this team needs to improve to move forward. Because face it, next week, yeah, cupcake. But if this team goes out and plays a game like tonight against, some of those upper elite teams, you don't muff a punt and then it doesn't turn into points. We were lucky that they missed a field goal. And then turned over on downs.
Had a blocked punt that turned into a missed field goal.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I said it. This game could have gone 21 points either way at certain times in the game. In one way, we were lucky to force overtime and still be in the game. And then Pitt's lucky that we didn't run them out of their stadium. Because those opportunities were there. And I think it was kind of sloppy on both sides, honestly. Of course, you have your second string quarterback in and, Pitt, they lost a lot of weapons. So I do think to Snake's question earlier, how do you gauge this versus the quality of the opponent in Pitt? I think they qualify for a bowl game. I think they're a 8-9 win team. I think, but you look at the conference they play in. I mean that right there is a tell in and of itself. They wouldn't be an 8 or 9 win team in the SEC.
You also got to look at what they're going to actually look like moving forward. If Keaton Slovis is out for any amount of time, I have no idea. It looked to me like a concussion. Swain was retweeting a replay of him getting thrown down. I would not be surprised off if he has a concussion and he'll be back next week. So, but it'll be interesting to see how they finish up their year. How good are they? You're talking about the defending ACC champions,
right? And that was to my point. They play in a weak conference, but I think they're an 8 to 9 win team.
I'm waiting on Snake to say something. He just stares at the screen awkwardly.
I'm worried about my echo now.
No, you're not echoing now. You're good.
Cool. Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see how good they end up being. But I just know that Florida has got a very athletic team that's learning how to win, and it's going to be a big challenge for us when we go against them.
Look, we're always so emotional about everything, and that's why I put the video out last week, because Florida goes out, has a big win over Utah, and everybody is acting like they're a national championship team. They watch Spencer Rattler throw a couple of picks. He's the worst quarterback of all time. We see Hendon Hooker struggle a little bit tonight. People think that we're asking for him to be benched. It's the nature of being a fan and the emotional response week in and week out. You know, coming out of that Ball State game, people saying, oh, we look great. We dominated 38-0 in the first half. We're going 10-2. And if you get on social media during the game tonight, you would think this was the worst Tennessee team you've ever seen. And I know social media is probably the worst of the worst to go read during a football game. But people were pissed. People weren't happy. And the bottom line is you come out with a road win over a team that's ranked, what were they, 17th? 17th ranked team. Again, going into this game, it reminded me so much of Ole Miss. And that's why I felt like it was so important, because I felt like the Ole Miss game last year was a turning point. And yet when I say that, it's not like, oh, if you win or lose, Josh Heupel's never going to work out. But it just had that feel, man. There was so much energy and excitement going into that Ole Miss game. And I felt like this Pitt game kind of set up similar to that. You're on the road. It's an away game, and you're favored. And it's like, it's time to go out and win one of these freaking games that you're supposed to win, but it's still one of those nail biters. It's not a Ball State. It's not an Akron. It's not a game, even a Missouri game where you go out and you're favored and you blow them out. This was a tough road test against a good physical defense, and you got out with a win. And that's all that matters. And I think you talk about changing the culture, and you know what Josh Heupel said earlier in fall camp, you know, wanting to win, thinking you can win, and freaking expecting to win. There's a huge difference. And maybe this team is truly, finally learning how to win, even with all the mistakes. Maybe Hendon Hooker's off. Guess what? Your defense stepped up, and they got after the quarterback. They got pressures. They forced some turnovers. Maybe you fumbled a punt and put yourself in a bad situation, but your defense dug in and got it freaking done, and they screwed up and missed a field goal, and you hung on. You hung on. Tennessee was up 7, and people were freaking waving the white flag about how terrible this football team is. You're favored by 7 on the road against Pittsburgh, a top 17 team, ranked 17th in the country. Everybody's freaking out because you're up 7 on the road. Sometimes we need to take a deep breath. Things weren't perfect. We got the win, and we're moving on.
Yeah, I'm with you. When we were up by 7, it did not feel like we were up by 7 in that game.
No.
So, but yeah, it felt great. You know, it felt like we weren't afraid to make the calls, right? On offense or defense, it felt like we were confident in what we were doing. We weren't scared. We weren't playing on our heels. We were getting after it. So, you know, bad teams find ways to lose games, and good teams find ways to win games. And maybe, you know, in that sense, I think possibly you're correct there, Boogie.
I got to do this because it's funny. This sums up my life on YouTube. These two comments, back to back. BS, Boogie. Exactly, Boogie. Sorry, Darber, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's you know, a perfect point there, Snake. It's one of those things. This team found a way to grind out an ugly win. And that's what it was, an ugly win. There are points where this staff is going to get to the tape and go over it with the guys, and they're going to learn from it. And I think that is something that you can look back, and I don't think previous coaching staffs, they ever corrected mistakes because they just kept happening game after game after game. I think this staff, they're going to fix it. You know, I said at the top of the show, you look at one of the reasons that this team overachieved last year was their play on special teams. Coming out of tonight, I'll tell you one coach that isn't going to be happy heading into practice this coming week, and that's Eckler. Dude is a firecracker, and he had probably the 2 biggest mistakes coming from his unit. So, you know, they're going to correct stuff. They're going to get better, and that's a sign of progression, and you take that momentum and you build on it.
Let me jump back over here and get caught back up on Super Chats. If you haven't done it, as always, smash that thumbs up. We would appreciate it. G. Smith for another 2. Thank you for the Super Chat. Also, RD took their quarterback out and injured their number 2. Anna Cresswell for $20. That ain't cheap. That ain't cheap. That's a generous Super Chat. Thank you, Anna. We appreciate it. Do you think we need to spread the ball out to other receivers more than just Tillman? We kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Is Hendon Hooker kind of staring down one guy? But when you go look at the line, Tillman had 9 catches. Jalen Hyatt had 11. And what we said earlier, I agree with what Snake had to say. I wish they would get Brew McCoy more involved, had 4 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown. I want to see the tight ends more involved. Jacob Warren had a catch. Princeton Fant had a catch. I really want to see them get those tight ends more involved, especially over the middle of the field. And, they ran that little quarterback draw so much. And last year in the Pitt game, they kind of set that up with Milton, and then they would fake it and then sneak the tight ends up through the seam. And I just kept waiting for that play, and we never saw it. Pistols in the chat. What's up, Pistol? $2 Super Chat. Vol Nation represented at Pitt. Yeah, they showed up to the Pittsburgh Pirates game. They were storming the stadium by boat. Good showing for Tennessee. Justin Stacy for 2. Thank you for the Super Chat. Kamal Haddon is legit. We'll jump back into the secondary here in just a second. Let me, am I caught up? Let me hit these couple real quick. Jeff Puckett for 5, thank you for the Super Chat, says, no insult to you guys, but the team was thinking a lot of the fan base. Playing Florida, Bama undefeated without proper focus on today, and it showed. I don't agree with that, man. And that's cool, Jeff, if that's the way that you feel, like that's fine. I don't think so many people say, you guys got to stop looking ahead and talking about this or that. What we say and do on YouTube doesn't impact the focus of this program in that locker room. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. We're not taking the snaps. We're not suiting up. I'm not going to go out there and use my 7.5 40 speed to play for Tennessee. But I get what you're saying, but as long as Heupel's got these guys dialed in and focused, that's all that matters. Joel Certain in the chat. What's up, Joel? $20. That ain't cheap. I slept through the whole game because I'm a dum-dum. Here's $20 to make up for my extreme dumb-assery. Forgive me, Sensei. I'll think about it. Joel, but I'm not 100% certain that I'm going to forgive you for sleeping through the entire game. But we appreciate the Super Chat, Joel. Good to see you hanging out in the chat. Kevin Rincon for 10. Doesn't say anything, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate that, buddy. Trevor Maffetone for 10. Guys, Tennessee could not have played worse, and they won the game. Fantastic sign. The defense was tested and came out looking great, in my opinion. GBO. When I say that, it makes one guy in the chat mad, but I agree with you. Sloppy game, came out with the win. Nate Pruitt for 2. We appreciate it. We won, but Hooker was 27 of 42. That is not a Heisman look. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's talk about this Tennessee secondary. At what point, I still think Kamal Haddon looks pretty good at times. I think he's playing good football. The safety position, I think, unfortunately, is what it is. I don't think they're going to make any changes there. No matter what happens, unless somebody gets hurt, you're going to see Trayvon Flowers and you're going to see Tank McCullough out there at the safety position. Corner, different story. Kamal Haddon got the start tonight. Where in the world is Brandon Turnage? Warren Burrell continues to struggle. I think he got beat in the end zone there early in the game. He was holding and still got beat in the end zone. But what do you think what's the answer? Or is there an answer for the secondary? And again, to defend them, and I shouldn't really defend them because they struggle at corner. When you got to bring extra pressure, that's what happens. You put a lot of freaking pressure on that back end when you got to bring the linebackers.
Yeah, I think they're doing. I mean, I don't know. I think they're doing as good as well as we can expect them to do. Honestly, from my expectations for the secondary, I think they're performing about where I expect them to perform. And like you said, when we don't have the D line to just push through the line and get pass rush without bringing a couple extra guys from the second level, then they're going to be on an island, and they're just going to have to play it safe out there and give up some of these passes and make a tackle. So I don't know. I'm not that worried about it, I guess.
I'd like to see him at least in the frame of the TV when the receiver's catching the ball, though. They give up so much space, and it just seems like a lot of those plays are just so easy pitch and catch for the quarterback and wide receiver. That's the thing that I would like to see him. And I don't know if, like some press coverage up on the line would be a little bit better or what. But, yeah, like you said, it's kind of one of those lesser of two evils. You've got to get some pressure, and you've got to use pressure from the linebackers if your defensive front isn't going to provide everything. But, man, I don't know.
We don't have studs back there. I mean,
yeah,
we know that, right? So,
and that's across the board, right? Because what we keep saying is, well, you can't get pressure with the front four, so you got to bring linebackers. But then we're not good enough on the back end. But the back end's not good enough to cover to allow a pressure type. You just got to have more talent. You got, but again, to come full circle, that's why you've got to continue. It's why this season is so important to me.
Oh, yeah.
You got to get 8 or 9 wins, because if you go out and you win 6 or 7, I don't know that you're going to keep that momentum on the recruiting trail. I don't know that you're going to keep that.
Yeah, and this game, these are the games, like you said, that are huge for all of that, for the whole season, for recruiting, for next year. You've got to pull these games out, right? And so we did it tonight, and hopefully, we'll be able to do that more and more in the future.
And the other thing, not just recruiting, but you continue, you win games like this, and keep that momentum going. Not only the recruiting, but the transfer portal. You pick up a guy who's a grad transfer, or somebody that's transferring out that can come in and be instant impact. That can come in and, be a guy that you're not afraid to put on an island out there in the secondary. And somebody that is a stud. You get a defensive lineman that, is going to wreak havoc every snap that he's in there. That's where taking that next step and progressing is what you're looking for this team. Because let's face it, they're going to have to continue to recruit well. They're going to have to continue to hit the portal to get guys that are going to come in and impact, because that's where this team is. They're on the verge of taking those steps to, close the gap. But I mean, that's an actual, the talent gap between the elite teams and where Tennessee is right now. That's the tell. You look at the 2s and 3s for Tennessee versus Alabama or Georgia, and the drop off in talent and play that there is, and that speaks to why Alabama and Georgia, win more games that are close than Tennessee has done recently.
And like you
Our
said,
teams are getting better, though. I mean, I feel like we're pretty solid. I mean, where we're at, and it was encouraging to see the linebackers. I thought they balled out tonight. I mean, I thought they played pretty well. So,
Aaron Beasley to me is the defensive MVP right now.
Yeah,
that kid is flying all over the field, making tackles, making plays.
Good for him, man.
Yeah, after everything that happened with him, and then his name gets cleared, but none of the media really clears his name. They just let it sit. It's like, come on, man. And it's good to see him out there balling out, and he's the guy that got the pressure last week in the first play that led to the interception. Tamari McDonald's a guy that's out there making plays. Somebody mentioned Wesley Walker in the chat. He is making some plays out there. Evan Counts for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Thank goodness for good officials this time. Yeah, man, I just kept waiting that completion where the kid's heel was out of bounds. I'm like, they're going to call this complete. And again, that's just more battered VAWLS syndrome. Chatsworth 1979 for 5. Thank you for the super chat. May have been asked earlier, but how long has it been since Tennessee has beaten a ranked team out of conference on the road? Yeah, it's big, man. It's big. Like we said, it's just good to come out of here with a win. And, now you shift the focus to Florida. I know you got Akron coming up, and I'm going to look right past them and start looking at that Florida game, because that now becomes the biggest game of the season. And that's coach speak. That's the way we talk. It's the way it is. But that game is huge, absolutely huge. You come out of September at 4-0, and Snake, I know you don't. That's a loss for you. You're
no. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying that's the biggest game for me. It's the biggest game every year. I'm one of those people who's like shifted off of like Alabama. I hate Let me rephrase that. I want to beat Florida.
No, you hate them. You hate them. They're your Georgia. It's all good. You hate them. You hate them with a passion. But it's battered Vol syndrome, man. You got to see it to believe it.
Right.
Robert, 45 Tennessee for $20. That ain't cheap. Thank you, Robert. Tennessee can beat Bama. That's a fact. Yeah, we just kept staying live with that tailgate show. We just kept staying live with that tailgate show because it just kept rolling, man. But typical Bama, right? They escape with the wins. That's what Alabama does. So if Tennessee can find a way to do it like they did tonight, escape with the win, and just keep moving on. Keep moving on. W's are all the – and you could see the relief on Josh Heupel's face when that game is over to come out of there with a win.
Let me throw this question out there. I know I've harped on special teams a couple times. What are you guys' thoughts on Flowers back at punt return? Because that was pretty big mistake on his part. Do you like seeing a defensive player back returning the ball? You know, the old joke is, you know, they play defense because they can't play offense.
Right.
So
what it told me when I saw Flowers, who when you say Trayvon Flowers, I don't immediately think, oh, dynamic playmaker that's going to make some amazing plays on special teams. So what I took from it is they've got confidence that he's not going to do exactly what he did tonight, and then he goes out there and does it. So it's kind of like it'd be interesting to see if somebody else is out there next week against Akron fielding punts.
I think, you know, you look back to Eric Berry, you know, that was a guy you put back there because he's a dynamic playmaker.
When he has the ball in his hands, he was going to go make plays.
So, you know, why not put somebody back there that has sure hands and some speed and can do something in the open field? Not saying that Flowers can't do that, but, that just the way he tried to catch the ball.
Try to catch that ball over his head. That's just not going to happen.
I was not very impressed with that. And like Boogie said, coming out of camp when – they said he was, I guess the depth chart got released, and they said he was the punt return guy. I thought, man, that just struck me as odd. And tonight it kind of came back to bite us, and that was why I thought it struck me as odd. But
yeah,
Squirrel might be back there next week.
Yeah, that was my thought for him. He could be an impact guy on special teams. Coming into this year. I don't know that he cracks the rotation in the receivers, but, you know.
It's not easy to catch him. I mean, that ball's not easy to catch. So.
I didn't say it was easy.
Yeah. But you at this level, you got to catch the ball.
Right.
You're not a D1 safety playing in the SEC.
That's a job that you won coming out of camp. And I saw some guys in the chat earlier, mainly some Pitt fans talking about, well, oh yeah, be happy you beat our third. Well, the third string quarterback is still on scholarship at a D1 university, so they're still not a scrub. I mean, come on, come off of that.
Hey, that was I don't care what they say. That's a big win for this program and for us. So I'm happy to get it.
Marshall was the other upset. They're just showing the highlights right now on the halftime
right.
report. Marshall beat Notre Dame.
Any of these guys out there dressing out and on the sidelines and playing, they're way better athlete than a lot of you keyboard cowboys sitting at home right now.
Including us, Dauber. Make sure you mention that.
Absolutely. I didn't. That's why I didn't even say that. That was understood. That was understood.
Well, I don't know. Snake might be able to get back there and field a punt. Robbie S. for $20. Thank you for the super chat. Go Big Orange for today, gang, but we really got to focus down on the mental mistakes. Get the win, get out, get better, improve, and get ready for Florida. That's what we're going to do. I think we're about to wrap up this post-game show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please do us a favor. Smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. We would greatly appreciate it. Go check out our merchandise. You can pick it up. You can see Snake's got on a Talkin VAWLS shirt right now. Dauber's got a hat on. You can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We would appreciate any and all support. Thank you for everybody that's joining the channel. That gives us a gauge on where we're at. We appreciate that support. It's basically like a guaranteed super chat. Just hit that join button down below. Also, if you want to get involved in the NIL game, spoiler alert, had a conversation with Spire Sports Group this weekend. They said it is a possibility to get some players on this channel, so we're going to start working on scheduling for that. And that is because you guys showed up, showed out, and showed love and supported Spire Sports Group using our affiliate link, which is also in the description below. So if you haven't done that, go check it out. They sent out Hendon Hooker and Cedric Tillman autograph pictures to people that joined. You get discounts on merchandise, all kinds of fun stuff. The more you give, the more you get. So go check that out in the description as well. Sammy P for 2. Thank you for the super chat. Sammy P says, hey, Pitt fans, cry. Thank you for that super chat. Doofus Puncher. I could have used him earlier when somebody was trolling in the chat. Could have used Doofus Puncher. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate it. Peyton Williamson for 5. Thank you for the super chat. How does the conversation change if we don't muff the punt and Cedric doesn't drop that touchdown? How does the reaction to this game change? Yeah, that's kind of the whole point. Tennessee had an opportunity to put it away, Snake, and they never could put it away. They let Pitt kept hanging around, but they still got that W.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation changes with a lot of big plays. Take away, 7 penalties, the conversation changes, right? I mean, it makes a big difference in the game. So, of course, it changes. And if we clean that stuff up, I think we walk out of there pretty confident in a big win.
3-score win.
Yeah. So, of course, it changes.
Yeah.
Good point, though.
But that's what we said right before we went live. It was such a weird game.
Yeah.
Like there was so much momentum and emotion and shifts and screw-ups, and it was a sloppy game across the board. Pitt played sloppy. Tennessee played sloppy. We got the win. We're moving on. That's going to wrap it up for this one. Do us a favor. Smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Tomorrow, I'm gonna go take a nap. I'm going to go sleep it off, and I'm going to wake up and put some thoughts together and bring you guys the day after. So make sure you look for that video early in the morning, probably around 8 a.m. Then I'll be live tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, playing NCAA football, and you guys can come hang out and voice all of your frustrations or excitement about this Tennessee football program. So I hope to see you guys in the chat tomorrow. But that's going to do it for this one. He's Dauber. He's Snake. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.